Now back to Morningline. Here's Steve Helms.
And welcome back, folks. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, June 9th. We appreciate you listening to us, and we are very pleased to have Catherine Hanaway with us. She is a candidate for the governor of the great state of Missouri. Catherine, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Steve. I'm so pleased to be on with you.
Oh, well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. If you would, and I know a lot of our listeners know about you, but if you wouldn't mind, for those who may not, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running to be the governor of Missouri.
Well, Steve, I'm running for a pretty simple reason that I think everybody can understand. I want to keep Missouri kids in Missouri, and I'm afraid that the policies in Jefferson City are driving jobs out of Missouri, driving opportunities out of Missouri, and that our kids just aren't going to find the same future here that we've all enjoyed. I'm married. We have 2 kids, both of whom are teenagers. And no, I'm not running for governor just to get out of the house and away from the teenagers. But in fact, our oldest just graduated from high school last week. But in addition to being a mom, I've been a prosecutor. I put over 4,000 people, prosecuted over 4,000 crimes as U.S. attorney. And before that, way back in 2003 and 2004, I led Republicans to the first majority ever in the Missouri House of Representatives, and I served as the Speaker of the House during that time period. I have not run for any office since 2004, but like a lot of people, I'm just completely fed up with the way the country's going, with the way the federal government is reaching into every aspect of our lives, from how we're going to grow our crops to where we can use the bathroom. And I think it's time we had a governor here in Missouri who would stand up for Missouri, push back on the federal government, and restore the Constitution.
Now, you bring up a good point on the jobs and the economy. I mean, I think that's one of the topics we talk about a lot, because I believe Missouri is somewhere like 47th or something, and the numbers may change a little bit, but we're at the bottom nationwide with economic production, or we need to grow. I mean, what can we do from your perspective to work to making Missouri a stronger economic powerhouse in the nation?
Well, the very first thing we have to do is change the headlines about Missouri. Missouri has now gotten a reputation after what happened in Ferguson and what happened at the University of Missouri. The rising crime rates, not just in St. Louis and Kansas City, but Springfield is now on the top 10 list of per capita most violent cities in America. We've got to change those headlines so that people know that if they move their business or their family here, that they're going to be safe. So supporting police, supporting public safety, it will be at the top of my agenda as governor. But then government doesn't create jobs. People create jobs. So there are 5 things I would do. First, we need to reduce our income tax. All the states we compete with have lower income taxes than Missouri. Next, the second that right to work hits my desk, I will sign it. Third, we all talk about regulatory reform. Here's how I'd actually bring it about. On the first day I'm governor, I would freeze all new regulations until we could review those and reduce the number of regulations we have. The barber regulation here in Missouri is 10,000 words long. I just really think that we can use fewer words and simplify it so that our barber regulation isn't as long as the Book of Revelation.
Yeah.
Fourth, we need to have real tort reform, and have a governor who will appoint conservative judges. And finally, we need to make sure our workforce is ready for the jobs that are out there. 70% of Missourians are not college graduates. We're not out of step with the rest of the country. But where we are lagging behind is providing the vocational and technical training that people need to do jobs like plumbers, sheet metal workers, medical techs, computer techs. We really need to get focused on the good quality jobs that are there and making sure our young people are prepared for them.
And if I can just ask you a question, on the you were the first female Speaker of the House, is that correct?
That's right.
And you were in office in Governor Holden. He was the governor, and then Matt Blunt took over right after, and then you ended your term as well. Is that correct?
Right. So I unfortunately, only got to be Speaker during the time of a Democrat governor. I was not there to serve with Matt Blunt when he signed so many good pieces of legislation that we had passed previously, but Governor Holden had vetoed.
Right, and that's where the time frame I was thinking, and just wanted to give our listeners a proper perspective. Your campaign is up and running. You've just put out, I think, your first TV ad. How is that front going with you?
It's going well on all fronts. Unfortunately, in campaigns, one of the important fronts is raising money. We seem to be being very successful at that. We have more donors from Missouri than any of the other candidates. We've raised more money inside Missouri than any of the other candidates. And that allows us to go out and buy television advertising. But our real focus has been on the grassroots. I'm the only candidate for governor who's visited all 114 counties. We're the only campaign that's announced volunteers in all 114 counties. We have strong agriculture and law enforcement coalitions supporting us that we've built of people who either work in ag or law enforcement who've come out and said, yes, not only do I want to help you get elected, but I want to be there and help you have the kind of administration that really gets things done because you're calling on people from all over Missouri with great expertise in whatever they do, whether it's healthcare or agriculture, business, or education.
Well, we are speaking with Catherine Hanaway, a candidate for governor of Missouri, and we will be right back. But Catherine, when we get back, we had a caller call in yesterday and ask us if we would ask you a question about your views on the Second Amendment. So when we get back, if you would address that. And folks, hang with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now back to Morningline. Here's Steve Helms.
And welcome back, folks. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. And we are talking with Catherine Hanaway, candidate for governor. And Catherine, we had Ron, one of our listeners, call in and ask about your views on the Second Amendment. So if you could let us know what your thoughts are on that important topic.
Well, I think the Second Amendment is one of the most important amendments to the Constitution because it gives all of us not only the right to defend ourselves against anyone who would do us harm, but also to protect ourselves against the tyranny of the government. I was a marksman first class in the NRA in the 7th grade. I grew up hunting with my dad, and when I was Speaker of the House, we passed concealed carry. The governor vetoed it. Governor Holden vetoed it. I had to go find 18 Democrats back then to join with us. We didn't have veto-proof majorities, but I did. We overrode the governor's veto and made concealed carry the law in the state for the first time in history. And right now, there's an important measure sitting on Governor Nixon's desk, one sponsored by Representative Burleson, that would do a number of things. And, some people would say to expand our Second Amendment rights. I don't think you can expand them. I think they're guaranteed in the Constitution. I think what's happened over time is the government has put up a lot of bureaucracy between us and the Second Amendment, and this bill would do a lot to take that bureaucracy and get it out of the way. It would allow for stand your ground, constitutional carry, a lifetime concealed carry permit if you choose to get one. Governor Nixon should sign that legislation right away. And in fact, my Democrat opponent, Chris Koster, who likes to say that he's pro-Second Amendment, has yet to come out for constitutional carry. Maybe I can make a little news this morning and issue a challenge to Attorney General Koster to come out and strongly support the Second Amendment and to support constitutional carry rights.
Well, we hope to have Attorney General Koster on the air, and then maybe we can ask him about his whether he will support that or not, assuming we're still waiting on the governor to sign that. When you're going around the state to all the 114 counties, which issues do you find are most important, or do you get asked about the most?
I get asked an awful lot about the overreach of the federal government. So farmers tend to ask about waters of the U.S., and how the federal government, through regulation, wants to control how 98% of the dry land in the state is going to be used. People who are in the energy sector tend to ask me about the new clean power standards, which, if they go into effect, would increase our power costs in Missouri maybe by as much as double in the next 12 years. Parents are terribly concerned about the federal government reaching into their schools through Common Core, and now this ridiculous executive order on who can use the bathroom where. And so what people kind of from every walk of life are just aching for is a governor who's going to be willing to stand up to the federal government and say, look, enough is enough. You're not going to do this in Missouri. I'm not going to use the state agencies like the Department of Natural Resources or the Department of Education to carry out these ridiculous federal regulations. I think the 10th Amendment to the Constitution might be the very most important for a governor. It says that any power that is not given specifically to the federal government belongs to the states and to the people, and it's about time we had a governor who stood up for the 10th Amendment.
I was going to ask you how you would actually do that, and you said, just to resist and stand against them. We're often, though, whether it's the state and other local entities, we're bought off by the federal government, which is very frustrating because they give you a carrot and then take away some of your rights, which often cost more.
Absolutely. And, I think we're going to have to say no to some of that federal money, or at least say no to the regulations and see if the federal government really pulls its money. I've talked to principals around the state who tell me that complying with federal regulations is costing them more than the federal money they receive. So we need to do a cost-benefit analysis on any of the money that we're receiving. But then, way back when I was speaker, we had in the St. Louis area, something called enhanced vehicle emissions inspections, which meant, in addition to the safety inspection we're all accustomed to getting, people in the St. Louis area had to go to a second state-run facility and have their emissions checked. And the reason that it was being done was because the federal government was threatening to pull highway money if people in St. Louis didn't do that. Well, we decided to play a little bit of a game of chicken with the federal government. We ended that enhanced vehicle inspections program, and sure enough, the federal government continued to send our transportation money. So I think we have to challenge them on a few of these things and do a cost-benefit analysis to see if we really are gaining anything by having all these regulations.
Well, when leadership, either at the state or local level, acquiesce to the government, I think that's the wrong signal to send, because it just invites more regulation. We've got about 4 minutes left. Looking forward to seeing what's your next step here in the campaign. Or are you just going to continue what you've been doing so far?
Well, we're certainly going to continue to travel the state and go everywhere and be everywhere. The best part of campaigning to me is meeting Missourians. It's just fun to get out and hear how each person has made their way, and sometimes it's sad and challenging to find out the obstacles that are in their way. On Saturday, I'll be at Flag Day in Springfield briefly, and then I'm headed over to Joplin for the Pachyderms picnic, and then I think sometimes it's hard to keep the whole schedule in my mind. I think Saturday night I'm ending up at the Cattleman's dinner. So Saturday's a busy day. They all are. We've got some good stuff going today in the St. Louis region, and just every day is another day out on the trail. But the most important thing for the next governor of Missouri is to bring some real change. It isn't like we have to go reinvent the wheel. We've seen Texas do it. We've seen Tennessee. We've seen Indiana all transform their states in a way that they're growing, that young people are flocking into their states instead of flocking out of their states. 31 states have Republican governors. It's long overdue that Missouri joined that revolution. And I think I'm the best qualified to stand toe-to-toe with Chris Koster, who will brag about being all prosecutor and no politics. I'm the only one on the Republican side who's been a prosecutor. I can expose the fact that he has not made this a more safe state. In fact, it's more dangerous than the day he took office. And I will stand up for law enforcement and bring real conservative solutions to our state's toughest problems.
Where can folks go to find out more about your campaign and possibly sign up to help out if they want?
At HanawayForGovernor.com, and we do have yard signs available, and soon we'll have 4x8s available. We have an office in Springfield, and the address is there on St. Louis Avenue, but the specific address is on the website. And we're just really, really excited about all the people in Southwest Missouri who've come out to help.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine. I appreciate your time, and hope to have you back in studio one day as the election gets closer.
Thanks very much, Steve, and good luck in your race as well.
Well, thank you very much. And folks, we've been talking with Catherine Hanaway, candidate for governor, and these are kind of a get to know the candidates. And then as we get closer to the primary, we're going to delve into a little bit more of the issues. So if you've got questions for the candidates, you need to let us know, or when we're back in studio, it'll be easier for us to take calls for you to actually ask questions. But we appreciate Catherine Hanaway's time. And folks, this is Morningline, and we will be right back after these messages.